rebranded, although we've got some people up there with Microsoft AI.
We had, the chap who did Copilot just now, Rob, he was Microsoft AI.
Oh, that sounds like a exciting
You want to get in on
business.
that? You want to get in on it?
No one told me that was an option.
Welcome to Cloud Realities Live. We are at Microsoft Ignite 2025 at the Moscone Center here in San Francisco. And joining us for this conversation is Jonathan Hunt, CVP of AI Business Solutions at Microsoft. Jonathan, how are you doing? Good to see you.
It's great to be here. Thanks for giving me the time.
Oh, and likewise. How's Ignite for you this year so far?
Well, I got to tell you, it's my favorite Ignite ever. For a couple of reasons. The first and foremost is it's a home game for me. I'm from San Francisco, and this means that I don't have to get on a plane. So I appreciate the company accommodating my personal schedule.
Does it feel like really strange? Like I'm sure you've been in loads of these, right? And you're normally in hotel rooms and things like that. You actually get to sleep in your own bed.
That's right. You know what was crazy? This morning, I got a round of applause from my family because I told them I wasn't getting on a plane. I mean,
they actually congratulated you on it.
They gave me a round. It's the only time in my life that my family's clapped for me.
Well, at least you got one.
That's right.
You know, you look on the bright side of that.
An emotional moment. I like it.
Exactly.
But on a more serious note, it's been an amazing night. There's been some fantastic announcements. I think Judson mentioned there's 70 different announcements this week.
Right.
But I think it's really a seminal moment in the industry right now where with AI and the improvements in the models, the improvement in memory, the things that companies can now accomplish to drive business value are unprecedented. And I think a couple of the ones that got me really excited today to hear and learn and announce are AI in the flow of work, the whole idea of work IQ, the ability for AI to now reason over everything in your organization, the org structure, the hierarchy, the data, the communication style you have, the systems of record, your CRM data, your ERP data to drive insight and help you drive business transformation it's amazing how much value we're seeing companies create with that.
And without jumping too deep into that at the moment, because we're going to come on to the conversations you're having with customers and how they get going, but just from an IQ perspective, like this week's announcement, just broadly, how does that function? Help us visualize how that actually, say, works in a workflow.
Yeah, exactly. So you can kind of think of the Copilot, an application that's connected to all of your data. It's connected to your Outlook. It's connected to your Teams meetings. It's connected to your CRM. And you can literally ask questions of customer use cases and understand what's going on in my pipeline. Which customer should I be calling? When's the last time I had a communication with this customer? Who's communicating to my boss? What's the most important things for my boss for me to go get done? And it can reason across the org structure to understand who's important and where do you need to prioritize your time. Important to know.
Right.
And it can actually reason over the messages in your Outlook and your Teams meetings to follow up on actions. So you can really help yourself get organized and where you need to prioritize your time.
So do you think that we're on the verge of AI engaging with corporate politics?
AI engaging with corporate politics. I'm going to take the fifth, speaking of politics.
A wise answer.
Do you reckon, though, you get this thing where we'll get AIs to do work for us, and then AIs will be prompting us, and then AIs will get interacting with AIs, and then maybe they'll get mardy with each other and have an argument. Who knows?
I think it's perhaps likely.
It's one of those dystopian futures that, you may or may not want.
Well, we might come back to that later. Any other news, Robert?
Well, I was actually going to bring up the IQ layer, which is the they were just been discussing. So intelligence that enables the AI agents to connect everywhere. You've got the Fabric IQ that gives it access to the data, and you've got the Foundry to enable context aware, but also that Agent 365 control plane. So if you think about enterprises, you can see it all working. You have control, put the security policy around it. We said earlier on another pod, it's like the enablement of agentic going out into your organization with that responsibility and things. So it feels like that was a big part of giving you the tools that allows an enterprise to be able to actually go and do this stuff on scale.
100%. You heard Charles Lamanna today on stage talk about how IDC is forecasting 1.3 billion agents being deployed by 2028, 3 years.
Really?
If you do the math on that, it means that there's going to be multiple agents per employee. Yeah. And as a CIO, you want to make sure you have the ability to view all that, the observability of it, to govern it, to make sure you've got the right policies in place. And so this really is going to enable companies to adopt AI and agentic AI at a pace that they haven't been able to because they've been a little bit fearful of, hey, can I actually get that observability to know what my employees are doing and what access controls do I have in place?
And one of the interesting stats I heard was when agents were first created, they could run for a couple of seconds without having to have an intervention.
That's right.
And now they can run for hours.
That's right.
And come back with great results. So you've got this incredible increase in capability in a very short space of time.
That's right.
So you can set them off on very common sense. That orchestration that comes over the top is quite powerful now.
That's right. And I think in the early innings a couple of years ago, a lot of AI and Copilot was more of a horizontal use case where it was something, it was kind of almost, you can type a question into it, get a prompt, get some feedback back. Now with the capability of the models, with the ability to reason over hours and soon to be days, weeks as we go forward, the permutations of what they can actually go do is going to be much different. I think we're starting to go deeper into more functional type use cases, which is really where I think a lot of the business value is going to be realized.
And given the scale of agent growth that you were just describing, in your mind, does that scale come from like really democratized creation of agents into the broader workforce, or is that something you still see, kind of technologically skilled people to be deploying those agents, if you get the distinction?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. It's going to be both.
Yeah.
And we've got low-code solutions so you can democratize the creation and the makers and really empower employees to go create those, which is, again, why if you're going to turn that ability on, you have to be able to govern it and see what people are doing to make sure you don't accidentally expose data or otherwise to the wrong sets of folks.
Very much so.
I think we should start investing in a agentic producer. How many clicks? This is the question. How many clicks to replace myself? he's just behind that pillar there, hiding from us.
Hiding, crying. He's crying or is he laughing? Can't tell. Right. One of the things I wanted to touch on is the sort of interesting shift in your role. So I believe you were previously head of business applications and now head of AI-driven business solutions, which might just sound like some rewording, but I'm suspecting there's something deeper in that. Yeah. How do you frame that shift? Because it's analogous in a lot of ways to an organization consuming a set of applications versus the sort of solutions you're describing now.
Yeah, right on. So historically, Microsoft's gone to market at the application layer really with two businesses. One has been productivity, and you kind of think of Office and Outlook and Teams, and the other has been business applications, so CRM, ERP, low-code. And with the advent of AI, we think that the way customers are going to consume technology and how value is going to be realized, those lines are going to start to blur. So you could kind of think of a world where having the ability for an agent or Copilot to reason over, as I said before, the productivity suite, all the things that you're doing in Excel and PowerPoint and in Outlook to give context and to give context in the semantic index so that you can start to interpret what does this person want to go do, and then being able to apply it to a business process. So you can kind of think of a call center where an employee is on a support agent is on a call with a customer. Customer asks the questions in the flow of their console. It's reasoning over that conversation that's happening in Dynamics. It's pulling in context from Outlook on previous conversations. It's looking at case history. It's looking at knowledge articles, and it's bringing it all together. And in the console, it's recommending responses for the agent to talk to their customer, for the human agent to respond to their customer. And so what we're seeing is customers realize business value with higher CSAT scores because you're having more comprehensive, real-time, contextual answers. And the human agents are able to actually focus on empathy versus figuring out, oh shoot, we have 10,000 SKUs. How do I get the right technical answer to this question? That's being fed to them automatically based on the AI that's being able to reason across the Microsoft graph and the different systems of record.
What I find interesting about that is, okay, so you've got, let's say, you can go different ways in this, because I think the biggest challenge with adoption and business applications has been the quality of data.
That's right.
Yeah. Is that going to be fixed and solved or better now with AI coming in?
So I think I'll answer your question, and then I'd actually say there's three blockers that we see right now. But on the data side, I think it's an opportunity for companies to really make sure that their data state has been cleaned up. And we actually have examples of customers using AI to query their data, actually, and improve the data itself. So I think there's three layers right now where I'm seeing customers fall short when they try and press the magic AI button and transform their business. The first is what you had aptly said in the beginning here, which is the data state. The AI is only going to be as good as the data upon which it reasons. And so making sure that there's clarity on how are you going to manage that data, how are you going to get it all into the right places is important. The second is governance, and making sure, as I said before, that companies aren't accidentally creating agents and exposing data to the wrong parties. And then the third piece is around change management. And a lot of customers, I think, still forget that AI is really still just business transformation. It's just a way to drive more efficiency and effectiveness, but you have to make sure you're thinking through the data state, you're thinking through the governance models, and that you're really thinking through the change management, because people, process, and systems, it's no different than anything else we've seen.
I think you hear a lot of IQ, and I think that's wonderful, but what about the EQ?
That's right.
Because you're mentioning, okay, so we've got the IQ covered with all the data and the statistics and the information, but then a customer service representative should be able to be more empathetic. And,
That's right.
But do you see people getting trained on that level? Because I think that's something that's maybe...
We are seeing in some instances, I think where the opportunity is to enable employees and people to focus on what they do best, right? So in a sales cycle, really having the AI automate things like top of funnel prospecting. How do you make sure that the lead is actually ready to go have a conversation, answering product questions, qualifying for budget, authority, need, and timeline, so that the salespeople can actually do what they do best, which is actually listen deeply, do great discovery, do great solutioning, and really understand their customers' pain points so they can add the most value, versus the busy drudgery in the old world of them hammering on the keyboard to enter their data into the CRM system, but really not driving value.
Updating opportunities.
Updating opportunities. And
there was a great use case I heard around doctor-patient where the whole conversation would be recorded and the AI would transcribe the notes for the doctor and the recommendations. That meant the doctor could then be present with the patient.
Right.
You almost see that thing with those types of conversations with people who you might want to help transform the business. Then you can spend more time listening, and the AI comes and brings it all together and does the next best step and actioning and all that lot. So you don't have to bother, basically, and you can spend your time connecting with them on a more personal level.
That's right. And that's exactly what we've seen at Microsoft in our support organization. Obviously not a medical situation, but where our agents using Copilot are actually able to improve CSAT scores, customer satisfaction, because they're able to focus on being more empathetic, because the IQ, getting the knowledge, the technical answers served up for them in the flow of work is really helped them transform the business.
So do you see to summarize the shift from the more traditional packaged application, where that might be a kind of a relatively static workflow with structured data that, to your example, like a customer-facing a help desk worker might have to run through the same laborious stuff, back to front over and over again, because that's how the system works, to a much more bespoke set of things that are unique to that particular operative or the customer, or a combination of those things that create create a deeper and more tailored interaction. And the applications themselves are more like a series of, kind of exposed platforms and then agents doing the tailoring. Is that a fair summary of the shift?
Yeah, if I followed you correctly, I think it is. I think what we're going to see is the AI agents, Copilot is going to help do the things that AI is great at, which is summarizing data, giving you insights, automating workflows in some instances when you can connect it to things like low code. And that's going to free up people to do what they do best, which is really focus on being empathetic and solving complex problems.
And for organizations who are not tech organizations, but are reliant on tech, and maybe some in the middle market, maybe that don't have even huge IT departments in the traditional sense, have got their applications in at the moment. In the customer conversations you're having at the moment, how are you getting them over the hump of understanding that
Great
difference?
question.
Because it's quite a substantial shift, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think that there are really kind of three flavors of agents, if you will, if you want to kind of take that as an example. And one is with Copilot, which is very intuitive. It's almost a chat interface. There's agents out of the box. And so we have things like Research Agent, which is connected to all of your SharePoint data. You can ask it questions like, hey, help me get prepared for our meeting with customer X. Help me get prepared for that. It'll pull in all of the data from the CRM system, all the data from the public web, all the data from SharePoint, and summarize a customer brief on what's the updated news, are there any open cases, what are the open opportunities. So it really can make that super easy for a company to adopt, where it's really intuitive. The second is low-code solutions where using products like Copilot Studio, customers can really stand up agents super quickly. We could create an agent today that basically stands up, pointing to the website, all the information on the website. It's up and running in 10 seconds, and then we can query it to ask all the questions we want to ask of a website instead of hunting and pecking and having to read the whole darn thing. So that's kind of the second use case. And then there's really the bespoke ones where you're really doing a lot of deep custom code. And so it's really a little bit of an evolution and a maturity model where customers can get started on the really intuitive ones, easy out of the box, and then go as sophisticated as they need to or want to.
And there's a big part in that, especially with companies that aren't technology inherent, so they don't do technology themselves, remembering to use the capability when it's there. So it's just from a personal productivity standpoint, you go, oh, I should have done that with
That's
AI.
right.
Yeah.
It's a classic sort of just a small thing, but how do you find organizations are pushing that learning to prompt their own, employees to be able to, remember to use it when it's there?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple, maybe three things I would say on that. One is it's just like anything else that you think of from a change management perspective. I think it's important to have champions. I think it's important to choose what are the use cases that are actually going to add value to people's life. So if you do something and you're just like, oh, that helped me do that a lot easier and faster, I'm probably going to do it again. If not, you're like, maybe I'll try again another couple of weeks. And then we've also seen a lot of gamification and tops-down encouragement from executive teams for people to adopt it. And some permutation of those four, maybe there's a couple others out there, have tend to work pretty well. But I think the important thing is, if I were to give customers advice, it would be choose a couple of use cases that are pain points for your teams that based on the AI capability is going to add a lot of value, and then give people a great first experience, and they're probably going to come back and use it again.
There's a lot of talk at the conference. I think it was mentioned in the keynote and in the pre-conference blurb around where the focus is this week. And scaling AI is one of the sort of perennials over the course of the last two Ignites. Where would you characterize the industry at the moment on the scaling journey?
I think we're early. I think the technology is continuing to get better, and the use cases and the ability to implement it successfully and the business value is still continuing to mature. And so I think as we go forward, again, as I said before, there's a lot of horizontal use cases where it'll make someone's life from a productivity perspective a lot better. But we're starting to see robust transformations on things like doing deeper research or things like automating business process that add a lot of business value start to emerge quite a bit. So I think we're early on.
And do you see a split forming where companies that are embracing it, trying to learn, get it right? It's early days, but they're changing their culture towards there has to be an AI first answer versus those who may be sitting back and waiting a bit? Do you think there's two groups forming, or do you think it's a spectrum?
I think it's a spectrum. But I would tell you, it's really interesting. In the last 6 months, 6 months ago, we were having conversations that say, hey, let me tell you how AI might be able to add value to your business. People are like, now 6 months later, people are like, yeah, great. Let's just go right into where should I get started and how the heck do I get started?
They know they need to do it.
Exactly.
Make it real.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
They want to make it real. And
10 points.
The evolution, since 2.5 years ago when we kind of launched Copilot has been, I'm skeptical AI is never going to work. AI is going to fix everything. And then oh gosh, AI is going to kill us all. And we've seen customers.
I mean, that's a dramatic.
That's one extreme to the other. It's bobbins, it's going to end us. It's
gone all over the map. And we've seen customers try everything. And, there's statistics out there. I think there's one by MIT that said, hey, 95% of all POCs have not yet delivered value. And there's a wide variety of reasons for that. One, it's early. Two is governance. We got to make sure the governance models are there. But the evolution where there's really four areas where we're seeing repeatable, predictable value being created. And the first is on employee engagement. So you can kind of think of that personal productivity use case where summarizing emails, summarizing meetings. I'm double booked all day long. I use it every day.
Right.
I can actually ask Copilot, give me the summary of the notes of the meeting I chose not to go to. And it's phenomenal with actions and who said what. That's the employee engagement. That's super, super easy to get started. Lots of value. The second is around customer engagement. I talked a little bit about that with kind of the use cases at the top of the funnel where you can automate the lead to opportunity process. Things like in the support organization, making your agents more productive and improving CSAT at the same time. The third is around business process transformation. And so you can start to think of things like supply chain forecasting. How much of what quantity and what location do I need to be ordering, and how do I line that up and relatively complex math models that can be done at the snap of a fingers, and we're seeing customers see a lot of value there. And then the last is on bending the curve around innovation and the ability to use some of these models to help you do things like code. Is really, those are the 4 areas where as customers get started, we encourage them to start.
And I think when you read those studies, they always, I think, over-index on things like, where's the ROI? Where's the ROI? And you think, actually, your organization might have actually learned something, might have shifted their culture, might have put them on a journey where actually they'll get benefit later on. And it's like that small nudges towards something more dramatic and more successful. If you're always just focusing on where's the number, where was the improvement, then sometimes you might have missed on the human value that might have been achieved through trying it out.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I also think it's like I said earlier, it's a business transformation. No other business transformation happens within like a month or 2 months or 3 months, right? It takes everything from the change management to the systems and the processes and all that to be redone. But we are seeing massive amounts of volume, and we've seen it internally where our salespeople that are using Copilot are driving 10% more revenue, 20% faster close rates. We're seeing it in our support organization. I said before, where our CSAT for agents that are using Copilot are actually 12 points higher than those that don't. So we're really seeing these real world business value. It's just a matter of making sure you go through the full process and it's fully mature as you go
If
through
you connect those 4 elements, what do you see happening in the executive boardroom? Because we've been discussing this throughout the show. Like, is there going to be like AI that is, constantly running the show actually, and that the board is just
sat there asking it questions.
And drinking coffee and be very happy. Do you see things connecting? Because you're talking innovation, employee happiness, the customers. That should be all connected to like the boardroom's cockpit.
It is a boardroom agenda now, from what I'm seeing. I will tell you, I've seen executives that are basically pleading like, "Hey, I am being asked to go faster with AI, and I don't have a plan. Help." And again, that's where we try and counsel customers to focus on those 4 areas of employee engagement, customer engagement, business process transformation, and bend the curve on innovation.
Have you facetiously responded with, have you tried using AI to create the plan for your plan to implement AI?
I have not, but I might try that. We'll see.
I mean, it sounds, on that note, it sounds like a natural agent that you can create. But thank you very much for your time today. And your insights. It's been a great conversation.
It's great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
We're asking all of our guests this week about fictional reality versus on-the-ground reality, and like what films resonate with them as either good or bad examples of the world that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
So, like, do you have anything that spring to mind that represent what we're going through, do you think?
It's a great question. As someone who lives in California, I have to mention a movie by the former governor, which is The Terminator. And again, I kind of said it in jest earlier, where customers, were like, "Oh gosh, it's not going to work. Oh, it's going to solve everything." To the AI bots are going to kill us.
Yeah.
Terminator, great movie. We're going to be okay. I think I don't think we're headed down a path anytime soon where that's going to be the reality.
Fair enough. On that note, Jonathan, thanks again for spending a bit of time with us today. Enjoy your home match Ignite.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. It's great to see you guys. Thanks for the opportunity.
If you want to dive deeper in today's topics and what they mean for you and your business, drop us a line at cloudrealities@capgemini.com. We're all on Substack and LinkedIn, so connect, DM, and send us your questions for future episodes. And hey, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps us improve the show. A big thanks to Jonathan, our sound and editing wizards Ben and Louie, producer Marcel, and of course for you tuning in. See you in another Microsoft Reality soon.